Enes Kanter Freedom. Enes, good to see you. Welcome back to the program. What do you want to say about radical Islam this morning?
Thank you for having me. I mean, before we begin, I really do want to condemn the horrific attack in Australia. I think violence against innocent people is always, always wrong, and my heart is with the victims and their families, and no faith, including mine, justify this. I think the threat we are facing is not Islam itself or Muslims. It is violent extremes, groups that hijack religion and justify terror. These groups target civilians, women, minorities, and very often Muslims themselves. I mean, the Quran is clear. Whoever kills an innocent person, it is as if he has killed the whole humanity. So even our Prophet Muhammad also forbade the killing of civilians. And so these terrorists are not defending Islam, they are always violating it. And we should never blame an entire religion for the action of extremist groups. But we also cannot ignore the reality that this ideology spreads across borders and online and leads to real violence. So action matters. We need strong intelligence sharing, serious online counter-radicalization, and firm law enforcement against extreme networks. And we must hold state sponsors of terrorism accountable, secure our borders, and protect free speech. So extremists can be exposed and not ignored. So protecting innocent lives while respecting religious freedom is not a contradiction. It is how free society defeat violent extremism.
So you want to make sure people understand there's a difference between the Muslim faith and radical Islam. I mean, when people see these attacks, I mean, the Nice attack, Muslim, Paris attacks, Muslim, shoe bomber, Muslim, Orlando attack, Muslim, Beltway snipers, Muslim, Fort Hood shooter, underwear bomber, Westminster attack, 2005 Bali bombers, murder of Lee Rigby, USS Cole bombers. I mean, the list is long at the hands of Muslims, but your faith is Muslim.
So Islam explicitly rejects forced belief and violence against innocent people. I mean, even like the Quran says, there is no compulsion in religion. So extremism is a political disease that hides behind religion, just like the KKK did behind Christianity. Faith belongs to individuals, not terrorists, and America understands that distinction better than anyone.
Okay. Meanwhile, we're watching the radicalization of certain people. How does that happen, Enes? I mean, what do you make of the fact that some of these suspects are carrying around radical Islam ISIS flags? I mean, how does that radicalization take place then?
Because I think, extremists twist religion to gain power and control. The Quran says it very clear, again, whoever kills an innocent person, it is as killed as if they killed the whole humanity. Terrorists ignore that because they are not guided by faith, but by ideology and hatred. I think we need to call it and take concrete actions. We cannot just blame the whole religion because of these terrorist groups. And so that's why we need to respect other people, other religions, and do whatever we can to inspire the next generation so they can have a better, brighter future.
Meanwhile, you have been showing such courage against the bad guys and bad behavior. And pro-democracy activist Jimmy Lai was found guilty in a Hong Kong court earlier this week. They charged him with so-called collusion and sedition, all part of China's crackdown on freedom of speech and pro-democracy influence. I spoke with Jimmy Lai's daughter, Claire, here on this program about the outcome of the case on Monday. Watch this.
I last saw my father in around the end of June, so it's been a few months. His health in the last 5 years has deteriorated. At first it was gradual, but then in the last few months, last year really, it's been a lot more dramatic. It's, he's lost a very significant amount of weight. In less than a year, he lost 10 kilos. Throughout the years, I mean, even the decision not to plead guilty and the decision to give evidence in a trial where the bench and the prosecutors were just so set against him. It's strength that can only be inspired by that can only be explained by the Holy Spirit. I hope President Xi does the only just and the only honorable thing here, which is to free my 78-year-old father.
Unbelievable. The CCP marched into Hong Kong, started throwing all these freedom fighters in jail. Enes, you've been so outspoken against the Chinese Communist Party, including during your time in the NBA. Your reaction?
I mean, oh my God! You know, Jimmy Lai's conviction is not about the law, and everybody knows it. It is about fear. The Chinese Communist Party is sending a clear message that speaking freely, criticizing the regime, or standing up for democracy will be punished. Absolutely. And Hong Kong was promised freedom and rule of law, and Beijing has, I will say, broken every one of those promises. This is not just about Hong Kong issue. It is a global warning. When authoritarian regimes crush free speech at home and face literally no consequences, they export that repression abroad. You know, defending Jimmy Lai, I think, means defending freedom of speech everywhere, and the free world, I think, must stop being silent. And everybody knows, I mean, China's threat is not limited to, you know, one country or one region. It is a systematic challenge to freedom itself. So the Chinese Communist Party is exporting censorship, intimidation, and surveillance across borders and targeting journalists, businesses, universities, and even elected officials. So if this continues, the future will be defined by a world where authoritarian control replaces free expression and democracy's norms.
Sure. Enes, it's great to catch up with you. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll see you soon. Happy New Year. Enes Kanter Freedom. Stay with us. We'll be right back.